It is PKN episode 149. All right, so we got a couple topics lined up. Do you want to start with the UFC thing?
Yeah. So Jermaine Durandamy is the 145-pound women's champion. That's a new weight division, and to set it off, they had her fight Holly Holm for the belt, and that was the fight where there were a lot of hits after the belt.
I can participate
after the belt. Yeah. Yeah, Durandamy hit her multiple times after the bell, and it wasn't just that she hit her after the bell. It was how she reacted to it. To me, that has me so soured against her. It was really kind of a laughing it off. Whoops, aren't I so silly kind of thing. Like, whoops, did I hit her after the bell? Like she's like sticking her tongue out, and it's a big deal.
I didn't see that.
I want to mention one of the hits was really good. Like she hit her twice
really
after the bell,
hard,
and they were both
good.
In
the second, I think.
But I couldn't tell you if it was the first or second. But one of them really kind of wobbled Holly Holm.
It was the hardest hit Holly took the whole fight. Was that one? It was one of those. It hit her. It's been like a year now, but I remember her like kind of getting caught like this, and it was one of those things where her whole head moves away from her body, and she's staggered, and that's the bell has already rung. It's not at the bell; it's well after the bell. It was like there was a combination, but this was like the third strike in the combo.
Is this not the recent fight where Holly Holm kicked that lady in that?
No,
that's the gift fight.
No, this has nothing to do with that. No.
Okay, never
mind. So Kyle's right. I'm sorry. You finish your story. Yeah.
So really don't care for Durandamy. She got the win in that fight, but it was a close decision the way I recall. But like I said, it's been a while ago. So hate her, and I was looking forward to the point where they unleash Chris Cyborg onto her. She's the well-known female cheater who is it's gonna be a struggle for her to get down to 145 pounds. She used to fight at 135, but I don't think she can get there anymore without whatever cocktail she was on. She's presumably still on something, but probably not the full mixture that she was on before.
I don't know that she ever fought at 135. I could be wrong, but I don't think that that's the case.
I'll check. I don't know. I watched a bunch of her, like, I don't know if it was Invicta or Pride or something, some bullshit. I remember there was like fake fog and like strobe lights, and I remember thinking like, oh, this looks cheap. But I guess she was fighting. It doesn't matter. But anyway, this Durandamy chick clearly terrified of Cyborg for obvious reasons, and she's been refusing to fight her for like the last 6 months or something like that. So the UFC / Dana White, however that actually works in real life, says, well, you're not the champion of 145 anymore. We'll just have these other two chicks fight for it, and whoever wins that, they'll have that belt. So
you can't be a champion and a cum dodger.
Unless you're Conor McGregor.
Or Michael Bisping, kind of.
Well, he's very good on the microphone.
you think most of those women in the UFC are cum dodgers? You think, or you think most of them are? You don't think those girls dodge? I bet they take so much more force to the face from real punches, real kicks. They don't mind a bit.
I think a lot of them are
into men. As professionals, they're designed to take shots to the face.
I'm saying as a professional, a shot of ejaculate to their lady face is much less offensive than like, oh, you know my job is getting punched, correct? Oh no, I don't mind one bit.
I don't think that women,
I'm just thankful I can.
Yeah. I don't think that women dislike the ejaculate because of the force exerted as much as perhaps the humiliation entailed. But anyway, they yanked this chick's belt away, and they're gonna have two other chicks fight for it. One of whom is Chris Cyborg. The other is, I think her name's Megan something or another, who they just signed. And I think that was all contrived. They were like, yeah, as soon as we get someone who will and can fight Chris Cyborg for this belt, like Durandamy's fucking gone because she's from one of those bullshit countries that don't even count. One of those countries that like if their neighbors had like were like.
Yeah.
If their neighbors were like Middle Eastern, then they'd have already lost their country. It wouldn't be theirs anymore. Like, where's she from? She speaks Dutch or something. Like she's from one of the silly countries.
One of the silly countries.
Yeah. She's from the same one as Bas Rutten, wherever he's from.
He's from Holland, right?
Holland. Then I always get. I never recall exactly where he's from, but
he's from
one of those.
Netherlands. Oh, he's from the same place as our good friend Kwebbelkop.
Okay.
Isn't he? Where the fuck is Kwebbelkop from the Netherlands? I'm pretty
sure he is.
I think he lives there, but you know.
Oh, it's a seasonal thing for Kwebbelkop. He's got so many places all around.
So, her name? Oh, never mind.
So
I we had her name wrong.
You know, you're making me think about these UFC fighter ladies. You know, obviously taking it in the mouth, in the face, and I bet it's like the inverse of that thing. You know how you always hear like, oh yeah, this super high level executive banker or this NFL team owner or something. Their sexual thing is they like to get like whipped and berated because they're always in charge all the time, making every decision, and everyone's always looking at them going, what do we do? What do we do? You're the last guy in this, passing the buck. And so when they get in the sexual world, they're like, I don't want any responsibility. I just want to be here and do whatever. Now these women, I bet it might even be the opposite, where they're doing such a traditionally masculine thing all day, beating the shit out of each other, that when they get in the bedroom, they just want to be treated like dirty, feminine, hyper feminine whores.
I bet it runs the gambit. I bet it runs the gambit. Here's one thing I'll say for sure.
They're all exactly
the 135-pound champ, the one, the girl who like destroyed Ronda Rousey last year. This Amanda Nunes chick is gay, and it's clear that she is the more butch character in that relationship because her girlfriend kind of comes in the ring and like celebrates with her and everything. And so there's definitely that side of the female UFC fighters. And yeah, I'm sure there's the side of the ones that would want to be dominated since they're clearly so physically imposing. Mm-hmm. But there's got to be the opposite of that as well. But the problem would be, like, how intimidating would that be? Like, you would have to be yourself like if you're going to date this chick, you'd have to go get your blue belt or something, right?
Yeah, if she likes being dominated, you better not be Screech.
She starts from Saved by the Bell. Armbar all of a sudden, like, God, I thought you were going to get on top. I didn't know you were going to fucking lock me up.
Stop sweeping me into mount. I don't know.
Yeah. Dude, it would be like if you're like a small girl and Brock Lesnar hires you, a small woman, obviously, not some creepy shit. But he's like, yeah, I need you to smack me around a little bit, make me feel small. And she's gonna be like, well, I'm not totally comfortable with this, frankly. I don't, please don't make me hit you. Hit me like I'm a bitch, like or whatever the fuck.
You gotta have to hit him with a tire wrench or something. Harder.
Brendan Schwab talked about what it's really like. I mean, like, dying to say this. So Brendan Schwab is if people don't know, he was a UFC heavyweight fighter. At one point, he might have been top 5. I don't know. There's not that many heavyweights. But he dated Ronda Rousey and a couple other UFC women. And he said that, dude, it's not good. They're like dudes. And he went and expanded, like, what dating is like a dude is. And he said, like, they're kind of like guys. They're not supportive. That nurturing side isn't there. This is across his UFC girlfriends. That this notion that they sort of like prop you up and that is like, no, they're just like guy friends. They cut up and they do their thing, but they don't have that like feminine sort of assistant role
that sounds great. I don't need that shit.
I heard that and I was like,
you want that shit.
I kind of like that about Jackie. The supportive side of her.
Nobody's gonna fuck with me now. like it'd be that situation. Like it's always the opposite. Like you've got some mouthy girl like starting a fight with a guy, and she's like, hey, deal with this guy now. It'd be the complete opposite. I'd just be fucking stepping on sneakers and cutting in line, just like bumping into people and spilling drinks on them. Just like they said shit. It's like, honey, come over here. Come here. This man's got a problem with us.
this gentleman has an issue.
Because 87% of men just won't hit a woman back, right? Like I would say at this point in time, especially the South.
The 13%.
I am the 13%. Look, I've been tested on this.
But
Woody actually has. I can't call myself a member of the 13% yet.
Not lately though, and I really think that like I was watching I can't remember which UFC fighter, but she was in Afghanistan or Iraq or something with troops like leg kicking them and the Marines and like they're Marines, so they're like, yeah, give me 2 or 3, but you could tell they hurt. And when she punched one in the chest, and you could tell, like, wow, she hit him really fucking hard. It's still a girl and everything. Like, this Marine would just beat her to death. But
yeah, imagine like how that must be a little bit not fun as the female.
Like this guy's 6'4". His chest is so big. Like when she hits it, he's just like, yeah, you pretty hard. But like if I grabbed you, like I'd just squeeze until the air wouldn't go in anymore.
In the same way that Lozon says he would lose to Shaq, I believe you if this guy's 6'4". But a lot of Marines are like 160 pounds and really fit.
Yeah. And they're just regular guys. I'm not. These look like these guys could. The guy that I'm.
The guy that's really big. My friend in the Army doesn't like big. He's like, if you're getting that jacked and you're swole and you're a soldier, he's like, You've gone beyond any utility. Now you're just a pain in the ass for anyone that has to carry you. That's his mindset on it.
No, sounds like a guy who hasn't had to carry a ton of shit before out in the field, you know? Like
I didn't realize he was a mule.
Yeah, I have friends who are in the Marines,
Uh-huh.
and they all put a lot of effort in, even after, like, they got the Marines, like, staying in very good shape. And what Kyle was saying about, what was her name, Holly Holm or whoever, punching that big guy in the chest, like, that's got to be a little discouraging as a professional female fighter, for someone to be like, yeah, like, I know you're tough and everything, but just give me a couple good wallops just so I can get a feel for it. It's like, oh, nobody's afraid of me at all here. What? Not even a lit. Do you have any small female Marines I could see, perhaps? You know, I don't know.
It was Kat Zingano.
You wouldn't want to be used as a prop, really.
One of Ronda Rousey's former targets.
I've got a video that speaks exactly to what Taylor was talking about. It's so awesome. I'm loading. It's only 47 seconds long. This is the video.
Don't try this at home.
Oh, it's a good friend, Joe.
Yes, it is.
I'm all ready.
All right, ready, set, play.
All right, so this is Lorenzo. He trains at my gym. And
Lorenzo's
we're talking
fun.
about how he's got a little bit of body armor here. So I'm going to try to blast through it with a hook. I probably can't, but we'll see.
Wow.
You get lower and more
It's
in front, so
so
you get
fucking hard. It's just too much mass.
Is he okay? Is he gonna be okay after this?
Yeah. Look at that.
his head.
Pat him on the head. I cannot imagine that. Somebody else is like, let me try.
Dude, that guy's a monster.
Right?
Now, there is a thing. At the time, I would have never said it if this video was more recent, but his right wrist hurt a little, so those were all lefts.
He hit
But
him hard.
yeah, still, even with his lefts, I couldn't take all that. And
Yeah.
also, he could have hit him in the liver. I think someone even shouted, like, hit him in the liver. I think that's my Boston accent. But he was too kind to do that. But still, he was rocking that guy. And
Man, like, how do you even? What was that guy doing? Just like tensing
don't
up his
know.
entire
I
barrel of
think-
a body. Like, I always assumed if you had that much fat on you, that, like, I don't know, maybe I don't know, because my grandpa's got that kind of like fat farmer body, you know, where like it's not jiggly at all. It's just solid.
is that what corn-fed
Fat.
means? That's what I picture with corn. I don't know what corn-fed really means.
These fat people from the Midwest is what it means who work hard.
Yeah, corn-fed means like
Is it like
big
is Jeremy corn-fed?
Midwestern.
Like a strong, kind of could lose some body fat, but strong?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
know.
corn-fed means. It means you're strong and that you're also fat, and, and that you're eating too much, probably too much corn. And there's a lot of strong fatties around here. Not like I don't like the delusion that people have of like, I'm really, really fat, so I'm really, really strong. And it's like,
Sometimes that's not
yeah,
true.
that's not true. You're really, really fat and you sit in front of a computer 9 hours a day. That guy's really, really fat and he throws bales of hay all day. Do you know how much he is eating? Not only to fuel what's happening with the hay bale, but to maintain the fat on top of it. Like, my grandma made my grandpa a 6,000 calorie breakfast this morning to get this going. You know, start that engine up, which is just ridiculous. But yeah,
It's a lot of biscuits and gravy to make this whole operation work.
Like one of
God damn
those
it!
So-
engines
it's
that
so
has
much.
an engine to start it.
Yeah, you need like a whole day's worth of calories just to get it churning. But yeah, that's always funny to me. Oh, I'm really fat, and so like it's the same vein of like I get really mad, and so I'm really mad and I'm really fat, and so I'm strong and tactical. You know, I play video games.
I haven't seen it in a while, but like in my younger days, there'd be guys who wore these like ridiculous weightlifting pants. You
Oh my
know,
God.
and they
Yeah,
looked
yeah.
like pajama bottoms, really, and they usually had a stupid pattern like pink camouflage or something like that. And they would fancy themselves as like gym goers, you know, but they're fat and they're totally unimpressive to look at. But you know, they go to the gym at least sometimes because they're wearing the outfit to like parties and dinners and things like that. And that used to it's like, no, dude, You seem to think you have an impressive body, and you don't. You don't at all. That is you lack discipline. I don't care what you're doing in the gym, but you're not doing it right in the kitchen.
Just like wearing like a YMCA hat around. Like you're not tricking me to think that you're going. Like you're not doing any swimming. It's like I don't know. It's the same mentality you see. Like, have you ever seen two 9-year-olds, or when you were 9, talking to your buddy, and you're like, if we got in a fight right now, I would go, and I get you right under the jaw, and he'd go, not really.
God,
I would go, oh. And then I go,
I have the perfect.
And then they go, well, if you tried that, I would counteract, and I'd go push to the side and then kick to the shit. Or like, it's like, no, you wouldn't. You're 9. You start slapping each other, and you'd fall over.
I know a guy they were doing that exact same thing, except they were like 16 or 17 at the time. And the situation was it was the time when like the guy wanted to fight me and Scott for completely different reasons. Me and Scott each had completely separate beefs with this guy, and he decided he wanted both beefs settled simultaneously and told me so at lunch. And I was like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, tell him." And I'm like, I'm going to call him, like, now. He's like, do it. And I'm like, all right. So, like, he had been messing with Scott's girlfriend at her place of work. And I had some other thing that was probably on me, let's be honest. But regardless.
Is Scott a large guy? I don't remember.
He's as tall as me, but he's a lot stronger, I would say. Scott's as tall as me, and he's 200 pounds.
I don't really know what that
means. Okay. Let's go from someone who has no idea what that means. So we were like, yeah. I was like, okay. And he's like, well, meet me at the grocery store he works at 9. That's when I get off work. And so I tell Scott this, like, and he's like, well, no, fuck that. If he's there now, let's go get him now. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Why would we show up when he wants us to? like, let's just go fucking now. So we went right then at like 4:45 in the afternoon, and he's taking some old lady's groceries out. So we wait till he's put the groceries in her car, and she's closed the trunk, and she's out of the picture.
See, that part of the story makes you seem like the bad guy.
Right?
There were a couple parts of the story that alluded to that. But
and he's helping out this old bitch.
So first I fucked with him. It was probably my fault. And then we decided to double team him. We waited till he finished his good deed. And
so we show up at the autistic center he volunteers at, right? And sit out in the parking lot.
He's the driving force behind all of this. He is the one initiating all of this. We're not instigating this. He totally is. This is on him. And so he does his job taking groceries out, and so we pull up next to him and start threatening him a bit, as you do, and basically finding out, like, do we need to fight right now, or are you gonna just drop this and, like, just cower away? Like, were you gonna cower or are you gonna fight? Like, that was sort of the situation. And once he decided to cower, Scott spat on him. So got that done. And so we left, and Scott and I went our separate ways, and he went with his girlfriend somewhere, and I had a buddy, and he and I were out doing something. And then we both get, like, phone calls, like, no, you're not done yet. He's decided that you showed up at the wrong time, first of all. You came way too early for your appointment. So
I smell an ambush.
Right? like, that didn't count. He wants you there at 9. And so we're like, okay. Well, we'll be there at 9 then. So Dad has Scott in his truck, and they're on one end of this establishment, and I and my buddy are on the other end of this establishment, and it's dark now, and we're watching, and we're there for a while. We've been sitting there for a while watching this shit go down, and there's a crowd of them out there.
This is maniacal. This is.
They want to fight. This isn't like they want to argue. Like, they want combat. And so, and like, you can't kind of back down from that.
Oh, is this guy gonna bring his own posse? You mean?
Yes, he's already described that. There's a gang of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And they're all gonna fight. Okay.
They've assembled, and they're out there, and we can see their silhouettes, and they're doing karate moves and stuff. They're like showing off their kicks and their punches and stuff, and like really figuring out how this is gonna go down. And so we pull up into the parking lot, and really before anybody can do anything, Dad says something to the nature of, we're here for that one. The rest of you need to just get the fuck out of here unless you want to deal with me. But these boys are here to fight. And so everybody just kind of said, well, all right then. And they just put their hands in their pockets. And then there was, because they're 17, it's the... And so there is left this gentleman who has, like, initiated all this, and he immediately, it's like that scene from Snatch where he's like, and you start shrieking like a little cock or whatever he is, and his two little Mitzi faggot bulls. He's immediately terrified, and Scott starts running at him like right away, and the rest of us are just kind of in awe at this, like it's on, like there's no talking or pushing or shoving, like that's not what we're here for, and it's clear to everybody except for the guy who thought he wanted to fight, and so he starts running, and Scott is chasing him around and around the parking lot, around an assembled 25 people who are there in like cars and trucks to watch the fucking show or compete in it. After about the third lap, the other guy is just tuckered. He is fucking worn out. And Scott is too, to be fair. Scott wasn't in running condition, but the other guy definitely wasn't. And so they're... and of course, every time Scott would get close enough, he'd punch this guy in the back of the head. Like it was just glancing blows, just kicking him in the ass as you chase him. And the guy finally stops, and he's just like Jesus, I'm sorry, okay? Can we? I'm sorry. and Dad's like, no, that ain't good enough. Get out here in front of your little friends and apologize. And long story short, he made him get out there in front of all of his friends and get on his knees and apologize for all of this. It was a real interesting night.
But he got out okay. If all he took was a few ass kicks and like a glancing couple of blows to the back of the head.
What's worse though, because really, it's to me, it's about the trauma that you live with as to who you really are at the end of these things. You know, which outcome would he rerun in his head again and again? Where he like sort of bravely stood up, got his shots in, but faced a superior opponent, or where he ran around and then begged to get out of. That's a
very true point.
Probably should have took that ass whooping. There's a few you should take.
Did it impact you at all, Kyle? Because I like one of my thoughts is like. Because I know if that would have happened at my school or anything, and if anybody brought like their dad along, it would have been like, "Oh, fucking pussy ass bitch, Kyle can't even fight his own battles. So is your dad gonna come to school on Monday? Is he gonna be in class with it?" Like that's what I imagine.
See, that was the thing though. He had assembled a squad, and they weren't all children. There were a couple of older gentlemen, and it's me and Scott. And so there was no backup, and so yeah, he totally went up there, and Dad wasn't getting involved with it. Basically, all he said was he was like, "Look, we're not going to have a thing where all of you jump on either of these boys. Like, if there's going to be a fight, it's going to be between this one and this one, or whoever wants to fight, or because if people start deciding that others are going to fight for them, then I'm going to start fighting." And it was more one of those things. But no,
it was one of those things like in Always Sunny, where they're like, "Well, who do we call in?" "Well, I don't know, guys. We don't have a very deep bench here." Like,
well, part of it, the reason he got involved or how he got involved is like Scott and I are over there discussing this whole thing, and Dad's like, "What's going on?" And you're like, "Tell him," and he's like, "Oh, you don't want to go up there. You don't go up there. I've seen this go down before. Like you get hurt up there." And he's like, "Oh, I don't think so. We know this guy." He's like, "Well, how many of them are there?" I'm like, "Well, we don't really know." And sure enough, like honestly, when we got there, there was at least 7 of them out there practicing their kata, and another 15 more who you never know could have
run in like the Kill Bill movies where you think that you're done, and then 17 more totally inept idiots run over.
Yakuza.
Yakuza. The 88.
The 88. Yeah. Dude, I love those fucking movies. I know I don't think Woody likes the Kill Bill movies, but those are some of my favorite ones. I love the soundtrack to that. It's so badass when Lucy Liu and her whole posse are like walking into the club or whatever, and the music's playing dun 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 dun. It's great. I fucking love that shit.
That's like one of the only movies where, because I also like the Kill Bill series, maybe not as much as you, but like when the 88 thing is happening and there's like rivers of blood just everywhere. Like it's one of those scenes where even I, in the middle of it, I'm like, all right, well maybe like let's tamp it down a bit. Like there's no way that these 88 Japanese gentlemen have the amount of blood that you're spraying about. Like
I like Kill Bill, but I like it on the level of like Iron Man 3. Like did I enjoy my time? Yes. Is it something that I think about again for decades and like, oh, what an experience that was? Not for me.
I haven't seen Iron Man 3. I saw
Iron
Man 1 and it was pretty good. I didn't like Iron Man 1 when he made the first iron suit out of like an old Chevy Cavalier in like a cave in Afghanistan.
I think that's the lore. That's what it's called, right? The lore. Like I think that's.
I don't know. I never read any Iron Man comics, and I never watched the cartoons for that either, like the Genesis part. Iron Man 3 was garbage.
I do like Iron Man.
Iron Man 1 and 2 are pretty good movies, especially 1 because it's the beginning of the whole Marvel universe. But Iron Man 3, where you've got the fake Mandarin, first of all, that whole misdirect. Then you've got Tony Stark, one of the richest men on the planet, is resorting to go into like a hardware store and making his own like taser to take down a bunch of like special op guys. Like wouldn't it be easier to call the police or the federal government or like hire your own team of assassins or like special ops guys?
Order a taser off Amazon.
Or order a taser off Amazon, and they had that little kid involved.
It seems like
and
has same day delivery. He's in LA.
He's got PTSD, which is
He's
annoying.
absolutely got Prime.
And then at the end, he blows. It's got fucking Pepper Potts. All of a sudden, she's got superpowers, and they left that thread dangling so much that they can't even have her back in the movies now. Then he blows up all of his suits at the end. But then the next Avengers movie, of course, he's got new suits. That was fucking garbage. Kill Bill, on the other hand, is a fucking masterpiece. David Carradine's greatest film, one of Uma Thurman's greatest. Got Vivica A. Fox, like everybody involved with just the special effects coordination. All of they all got in like peak physical condition. I loved listening to Vivica A. Fox talk about like making her ass look a certain way for that movie because there's this knife fight she has in the kitchen and she's wearing these tight ass pants and her ass is just incredible. And she's like, yeah. That's like 8 months of working out. And the idea is you hit a peak right when you need to film. She's like, my ass only looked like that for 2, maybe 3 weeks. we got it on film and then right back downhill.
I forget there was someone in a recent film. And she's a blonde girl. She's really cute. The sort of one everyone wants to marry. Do you know what her name is? She just had a baby. She played, I think she was in maybe a lifeguard in it. She might have also been in Frozen and played the second best singer. I can't remember her name.
I haven't seen Frozen.
But
it looks like Kristen Bell is in it.
I think it's her. I think it's Kristen Bell. And she was talking about the big sacrifice. She compared herself jokingly to Christian Bale's transformation in The Machinist. And basically she had just had a baby, got back into rocking shape, and then like didn't pump or breastfeed for 2 days, so she was all engorged. And she's like, those giant knockers. Like, that was my Christian Bale moment when I made that sacrifice. He's like, they were tender. So it was fun.
I really definitely like the Kill Bill movies a lot, especially Uma Thurman. She's not in a ton of stuff, but I really like.
I watched. I'm really attracted to Uma Thurman interview. He seemed flat out in love with Uma Thurman.
He is. Oh yeah, he's obsessed with Uma Thurman. She's like his muse. He's been like putting her in all of his movies forever. He has a huge foot fetish, and I don't know if you paid attention, like in Kill Bill, but like Uma Thurman has some big old stompers.
Does she really?
Now, yeah, real big, like I don't know, like a men's size 9 or something like that. And they're not unattractive. They're not like real weird snaggle toes like I've got going on. Like they're pretty women's feet, and like. That doesn't do it for me. Like I don't remember what comedian was talking about liking to get jerked off with feet. Maybe Dave Chappelle. Yeah.
I was going to bring him up. Sorry to interrupt your flow. I couldn't tell if that was true or not. I really want to know. Like, so basically, a friend came out, I think, and said that he was gay, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like everybody's into their own thing. I like feet." And they're like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you put your feet together, that little hole in the middle. I like to fuck right there." And the way he said it, I'm like. I think he's telling the truth, but it's a routine.
He does the whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, that's not my thing at all.
Yeah.
I'm not into that. But he clearly is, not only from like
Tarantino,
sort of. Yeah, Tarantino. Yeah, not only because like it's kind of a known thing, but also like just watch his movies. There's a lot. Go back to Pulp Fiction, when Travolta's picking Uma Thurman up for their date, and like as soon as she's ready, she like does this thing where she like. Curls her toes under with this red toenail polish, and she's like, ready. And it's just like she's constantly got these close-ups of feet and like sort of sensual positions and stuff. So yeah,
I bet if I watch it again, I would notice that more.
I want to know if I notice feet.
Women's feet the same way I notice women's hands, as in like unless there's something like wrong. like missing toes or missing fingers, or they're just like teeny tiny or gigantic. Like
One
I don't really
regular
notice.
hand, one Trump
you know,
hand.
like as long as it's a normal looking, like just somewhere in the mean of hands and feet for women. I don't know. I've never noticed that shit on women. I'm never like, oh, those are some nice ass feet. Like it's just always like.
I've dated chicks who were like really tiny. A girl that was like 5'1" or something like that. And she had really tiny hands. It's like, Jesus, my cock looks enormous when you hold it. So like that's a benefit. I've known other chicks who had like big old hands. I'm like, God, could you turn it aside or something? That's a bad angle.
But even then, you don't really care or notice like a girl's hand size.
Yeah, you do. The cameraman's right there. Everybody's looking.
Got to get that wide angle lens so that everything in the foreground is huge. Not that I'd know anything. I was thinking about a fitness update. We should do it as a lightning round. I feel like sometimes it goes 20 minutes. Here, I'll go first. I've lost 1 pound so far this week. It'll probably just be 1. So I'm at 205 now. Notable, down 15 pounds total. And I don't know, starting to feel good about myself. We were even like hating on fat people earlier in the show. And I'm like, yeah, them.
Yeah, those guys. Not me, though. Not
How
me.
did they do that? But yeah, down 15. I never missed a workout so far.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I haven't weighed myself in like a week or so, but I feel good. I've
You
been
kind of
running.
finished your experiment though, right? Is that where you
No.
are? No?
No, I'm definitely still working out. Probably 3-4 times a week, something like that. Use my kettlebells and a lot of cardio.
Yep, I've been sticking to the workout. Been doing real good. Haven't missed one yet. Diet, I'm doing all right. I'm getting better with that again because I kind of like had been letting myself cheat too much on the weekends, and so I'm
Stop telling
getting back
everyone your
into
weight.
it.
I was like,
No, I'm at 20. I'm at 205 now.
Okay.
So I've lost, like, I've really in the last like month like slowed down a lot. But it's weird because in the last month I've also noticed the biggest bulk of change in like definition and like musculature. And so I don't know. I know I'm trending on the right path as far as looking better and being bigger and in the right areas and getting smaller in the belly and love handle area, which the love handle is pretty much gone at this point. Like I can wear all my shirts. I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's just I just hate my fucking belly, and I got thigh fat that I want to get taken care of. I'm wearing my skinnier jeans though. Like I'm into those comfortably.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's hard for me. Like I keep thinking like, oh man, like I'm not getting any progress on my thighs, and then like I switch into my skinny, like my skinny jeans are like 32 is what I wear, like 32 waist, and they're fitting me right now. I'm wearing them; they fit great.
Nice.
But I had a if it wasn't for accountability with people, I may have dropped off and had a failure yesterday, because I got home from work and I was just exhausted, and I was like, I had my 2 options for drinks. I had my shaker bottle with my pre-workout and in there that I drink like half an hour before, and I also had a beer. And I was like, if I drink this beer, I'm gonna have it with dinner. I'm gonna go, miss one, no biggie, whatever. You know, I'll just sit back and relax and do nothing. I'll grab another beer.
In
Have another drink
for a pound.
Yeah, drink another sandwich. In for a penny, in for a literal pound. And like right in the middle of it, like because I sat there and I knew because I'd already like opened the beer as well, and I just had like this thing sitting in the fridge. I was like, well, it's gonna get warm and nasty if I don't drink it. And then I thought in my head, I'm like, that's a fat person excuse. And so I grabbed it, dumped it out, grabbed this, guzzled it down, and worked out. And afterward, I felt so much better because I knew all it takes is like 1 beer or 2 beers or a handful of Cheez-Its for me to totally go with the in for a penny, in for a pound thing, and be like, I'm just gonna eat. I have burgers in my fridge that I could have made, and I guarantee I would have like later that night been like Angus burgers, I guess.
Like frozen patties, or
yeah, frozen patties. They're like really high
Bubba
quality,
burgers?
thick frozen patties. I don't know what a Bubba burger is.
Well, then you don't have the good ones. Then I ordered some of the the Bubba burgers are the best. The Bubba burgers are the best. But I've got the ones I ordered some frozen ones online. What's the place that sells like meats? They're like the most famous like online.
Boar's Head?
Nah, fuck it. But I ordered a bunch of frozen ones recently.
I've done that with
Bubba's great though.
With tenderloin too, like beef tenderloin, where you just order an enormous box and you get like 6 pounds in there, and they come in like 4-ounce containers. Then you just cut them open, Taylor, throw them in the pan.
Do you have a 6-pack now?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
you just feel
no. My I'm still carrying too much weight for a six-pack.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I'd need to lose like probably 40 more pounds.
Yeah. I mean,
you have to be thin for a six-pack.
that's pretty extreme to get to a six-pack. Like I'm at 170 low pounds, like probably at over 6 feet. I'm not getting close to that. Like if I really lean back and flex, I'm like, oh yeah, well there they are. But like having one, like you got to have low percentage of body fat, and you've actually got to have like muscles there. Those things got to be defined.
That's why.
And then your skin's got to be taut as well.
It was more like a 4-pack, but yeah, in my 30s I had a distinct it was undeniable, right? It was like, oh, there's Woody's abs. I
had that
if I can get that far.
Maybe 7 years ago, with like the 4-pack of like good like V shape, body with the and all that.
Line. I don't know if I had the. I really like that line, like the V that like sticks out from your underwear. I don't know if I had that, but I was in pretty good shape. I'm not sure how like if I just keep doing what I'm doing, how far does that get me? I'm not even sure. I'm making progress every week still. Here's the thing that happened today. I came out of the shower. I think I saw my chest, and it was like, that is a much more flattering profile. Those are transforming from boobs into pecs.
Yes.
And that was it was a little piece of encouragement for me today.
That's a good stand to the side and look thing when you're like, all right, my arm's taking up quite a bit of the room in the silhouette, and the chest is sticking out further than the belly, and
yeah.
Well, that's about all you notice. Really. A sideways silhouette or a back. I'm like getting great forearm gains.
Are you?
I don't know what exactly exercise is doing that.
Kettlebells.
But I think it's probably just the fact that you're lifting and like balancing shit and doing whatever. But
do you do
that's
overhead halo things?
Yeah, I do.
You'd think that involve your forearms a ton.
It definitely does, because like I did that for like the first month of working out, and I think I did it like totally wrong. And then I like watched a YouTube video, and it was saying like, you need to keep this thing like so close to your head that it almost feels like you're doing it wrong, and your elbows together and all that. And once I like started keeping it like real close to my head, you could tell like how tense it was making your forearms on the front, and then on the back, the other side of your arms. But I don't know. I'm really loving it. I'm glad we're all sticking to it. I'm glad Kyle's off the 6,000 calorie a day thing, and he's slimming up, getting a six-pack before any of us, because you just
it won't take much. I just have to take a lot of cardio, a lot more. I almost bought a rowing machine the other day. I was asking Chiz because he had one for a little while. Those things look fun, and I feel like, I don't know, you're in that position where I can get the screen right in front of me. That's what I really like about my elliptical, is I take my wireless keyboard and fucking glue that bitch on there with some double-sided Velcro shit. I got my keyboard on my elliptical, and I can fucking get my I can watch my YouTube videos and watch a little
you can type
player
an
unknown
elliptical at the same time.
It's very well. I take my hands off the thing, and
right.
You know.
But I mean, make it not elliptical. Like, let's say I had a stationary bike. I'm not sure I'd be able to type at the same time.
Well, not everyone can perform at these peak levels, Woody.
This isn't a day one workout thing where you strap your keyboard with Velcro double-sided tape.
No, this is a life of effort, a lifelong passion.
Easier to do. It's not that it's an easy workout. It's just that there's very little barrier to entry. Like, I just walk over to my Southern Sunroom. The kettlebells are laid out there. I have my computer there already because it has I got a routine off the web, and I listen to a podcast, and I don't know, if I work out for 40 minutes, the whole process takes like 42 minutes. Whereas if you make that hockey, for example, usually there's an hour on either side of it.
Yeah, it's a whole evening of commitment where you're like, well, I got to get to the rink, I got to get dressed, we'll play, I got to get undressed, got to go home, got to shower before I talk to anyone, or they won't want to hang out with me.
Yeah,
because that smell is
the easiest workouts for me. Because like I would never work out and then not shower. I can't do that. That's crazy talk.
And I would have liked you in high school, because I hated everybody who worked out. It's not a workout in gym class, but everybody who would play a game, get sweaty, and then just waltz back into the locker room and throw the clothes on. And it's like, you're a disgusting monster. You realize you're about to go sit next to all the girls in our grade, right? You're going to go sit next.
As a kid, I don't
showered.
care. Like you're just disgusting.
No,
as
this is
a
high
16
school.
or
This is high
17. I'm saying still, as a 16, 17-year-old, you're disgusting. We didn't have showers available to us at that time, so I know
really
that
shitty,
it wasn't a thing. Nobody showered after a gym that was just taking gym. Nobody did. So everybody was sweaty, and you knew. You saw that guy in shorts in literature, and you're like, yeah, he just played volleyball. You didn't care. But how did all this fucking start?
Talking about showering at gym. Talking about
there's no way I would ever work out at this point in my life, or really ever, and not take a shower without going about my day. So usually what I do is as soon as I wake up, I'll try to get in some kind of a workout. It won't be an hour of like multiple sets and workouts and stuff, but it could 20 minutes of something. Like I might do 30 or 40 push-ups in like 2 or 3 sets, and then do some squats and do some chin-ups and like get my heart rate going really good, and then get in the shower, and my day always starts so much better. Like if I get in the shower and I'm already like breathing hard, like I'm like, all right, we're working hard before we even get fucking started.
You can do 30
The more
push-ups.
I talk to people about gyms and their experience in high school, the more I am starting to believe that it is not the norm to be naked in front of your gym coach every single class.
Yeah.
Because if my gym coach saw me naked, and myself and all the other gentlemen showering after we played fucking handball or whatever, but everybody was competitive with all the games, and so you got sweaty. But yeah, thinking back on that was fucking weird. Why was he standing there?
Well, it wasn't so much that it was where they were standing there, but the charts of penis size that he always kept so well documented, those disturbed me a little.
Right.
Yeah, we had. Well,
The
I mean,
yaw.
it just fosters friendly rivalries.
And could he
you know?
not have just written down notes where the picture's totally required? I don't know.
Yeah. He said he wanted to document this for science or something like that.
Well, we had other topics lined up to talk about.
I wanted to talk a little. Well, I figured Kyle would care more than me about
Daniel
it, but
Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis retiring from acting, like
So,
that.
he's
There's
got
no
a
way
movie-
that can be true. He'll come back.
Totally. No, he's weird like that. I really do believe that he would quit. If he says he's gonna quit, he's probably fucking done forever. The movie he's got it coming out this year. I remember reading about it and like thinking I wouldn't like it. Like I do think he's the greatest actor that I can think of, but I don't like all of his movies, and I don't think I'm gonna like this newest one coming out. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head, but it's like a period piece, and it's about something they don't care about. I don't know. It's one of those things you hear a description, and you're like, wow, I will not only relate to that, not at all. It doesn't even sound interesting. It's like, oh yeah, this is about a 17th century gay composer and the struggles he went through. He wrote this beautiful sonata about like his love for the baker's boy, and the baker's boy was found out and castrated and made to be into a monk. And you're like, well, that's a crazy fucking story, but I don't want to watch it. Like,
Yeah. It's like, I bet the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants had a couple interesting scenes, but no thanks.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at this. The way you described it is hilariously accurate to the way that I would read a description of these movies, where you're like, well, this seems like an interesting tale, but not actually interesting for someone.
It just doesn't
It says a
interest me.
Phantom.
Doesn't interest
It's called
me.
Phantom Thread. It says Phantom Thread is an upcoming American drama film set in London's fashion world in the 50s. And so it's like, I mean, I'm sure they did some
Pretty
interesting
accurate.
stuff there, but like, I don't. And why go out on a note like this? Like, oh man, you just
Yeah,
did. You
Lincoln.
were Abraham fucking Lincoln last time, and now you're a fashionista.
Was Lincoln good?
Yeah. I really like Lincoln. Taylor thought
It's
it
too
went on
long.
too long. There's not a lot of it's about Lincoln. It's not so much about the Civil War or about anything else that goes around it. All that stuff is happening, his main thing is to abolish slavery and like get those votes. And he's got a couple of really powerful scenes. And one of the things about not only about Abraham Lincoln apparently is he was a storyteller and kind of just went on and pontificated in public, and he enjoyed having a crowd of people gathered, and he just tell these tales and allegories and stuff. And so Daniel Day-Lewis does that in the movie. There's even a scene where one of the characters, a character in the movie, said his lines are, "Oh God, is he gonna? If he tells one more story." And he just like storms out of the room, and Lincoln just kind of grins and continues on with his story. But I like Daniel Day-Lewis a lot, and I found the historical stuff really interesting. And it's
Definitely worth a watch.
But then they butcher, like you said, they butcher the political process and all of that political intrigue. Is like that shouldn't go down. That's not how it went down. So it's a little frustrating in that regard. I've been looking for a new show lately, and I remember we talked about John Adams a while back with Paul Giamatti, and so I was like, HBO made this thing. It's a 6-parter miniseries about the Revolutionary War, about John Adams. Gotta be killer, right? So I press play on this motherfucker, and it starts off with some beautifully composed na 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 la la la, and it starts off. First thing that happens is this very pretty, attractive, like 28-year-old woman gets diagnosed with Revolutionary War era breast cancer. It's a tumor of the breast. And he's, oh heavens, what must be done? I know of no cure but the knife. We must not delay. And it's like, oh shit. And like they don't even cut away to like a pastoral like cut scene to let you know like an evening passed. They don't let you're not even introduced to any characters. You meet the doctor, the pretty girl, John Adams is her dad clearly, and the wife. There's like 10 words spoken, and then her titty's out, and they're about to start cutting it off as she's crying. And I was like, fuck this. I was in the mood for some happiness. If anything, I wanted some Patriot-style Revolutionary War action. I wanted Mel Gibson coming out of the fucking woods, knife in one hand, tomahawk in the other, cutting redcoats down, cutting their eyes and tongues out, sending them down the river for the rest to find. Hardcore shit. Instead, I got tears and breast cancer. That's some real life shit.
You gotta storm through.
Nah, that was too much. I won't start on that fucking note. So I switched to 6 Feet Under, a show about Dexter being the gayest man in LA while running a funeral home. And I like it, although it's like, man, you're really hitting me hard with the gay stuff. It's a central theme, and I'm not a homophobe. There's just a lot of gay stuff. There's a lot of it. He gets caught butt fucking this guy in a parking lot at one point. Dexter does, and he's like, "All right, fellas, zip it up." And it's just like, god damn, do you have to butt fuck him in the parking lot?
When they portray gay people like that in shows, like I feel like if I was next to like a gay friend of mine, they'd be like, man, I'm gay, and this guy's real fucking gay. Like I don't know,
it's not like that.
It's
not like that. Like they really delve into gay culture, and it's 2001. So I mean, I'm watching and I'm like, yeah, I know what all this stuff means because it's 2017 now, right? But in 2001, it must have been crazy fucking edgy because like all the characters are like doing meth and butt fucking each other, and he's like calling up the gay sex line. He's like, yeah, I'm 6'1", 180 pounds. I'm a professional boxer. And the guy's like, oh yeah, how big's your cock? He's like 9.5 inches cut. He's just like having this dirty conversation while he jerks off. And there's like 2001 era gay porn on his like bubble screen computer with pop-ups flashing everywhere. and it was just such like a flashback, not to all the gay themes, but the way porn used to be. Yeah, the way porn used to be. So I'm like 2 or 3 seasons into that. It's pretty good.
So you made it 2 or 3 seasons into that, but you didn't make it 10 minutes into the Paul Giamatti show
I can deal with Michael C. Clarke or whatever his name is, Dexter, butt fucking guys for 3-4 seasons. But like that teary-eyed breast cancer shit is just way too real. And whenever I see a period piece where they have like a cancer or like even worse, if it's something that like we understand really well today, like diabetes, and they're unable to treat it or they treat it with ignorance, it's just like this really frustrating moment for modern day me. I can't take myself out of that moment and just be a casual observer. I'm like, no, you fools! You have to excise the wound!
you
Wash your hands, man!
Have you ever seen The Nick?
No.
It's got Clive Owen in it, and it is exactly what you're describing. It's like very, very turn of the century, early 1900s, and he's a surgeon, and it goes through his process of like being a surgeon. He's like a surgeon / opium addict, which I guess like fucking everybody was an opium addict back then. Apparently, if the show is accurate, it could be. But he and like the stuff that they show them doing medically is it's the most intense gore I've ever seen in a TV show, and it's like just cutting people's arms off, trying to figure shit out. And it's not at all Dr. House-like. Like, Dr. House will come in and be like, it's lupus. And they're like, yeah, it's not lupus. And he's like, one of these fucking days, one of these days. And then, but then, House eventually will come back and be like, all right, dude, you take 60 milligrams of clonazepam twice daily for the next 6 months. You have a super rare brain worm. And they're like, oh, you figured it out. Like, thank God. And then like, and they survive.
They were super the brain worms up.
They actually got the stats of how many people survive in surgeries and shit in this show right, as far as I can tell. Because they'll be like, all right, it's a brand new surgery, doctor. Like, you have to be able to clamp this vein or whatever, because they didn't know how to clamp arteries and shit. And so they're trying to figure out basic shit. And so like they have somebody come in for what today would be like an in and out thing. And they're like trying to like dig under flesh, like shaky, trying to like grab onto arteries, and then the guy will just bleed out and he'll be dead, and everybody in the theater's like, oh well.
So my medical knowledge is pretty lax, and so I wonder about this. I always see them clamping off those arteries, when they fucking clip one or a bullet wound or whatever, and I understand that, of course, I get it, but my question is like, at what point do you unclamp it, and then what happens? Like it's an artery, right? Like, do you have to repair it somehow before it can carry blood safely,
or like don't you have to like sew it back?
Yeah, we think you'd sew it back together while it's still clamped.
But then isn't it like spilling blood here in my thigh when all that blood's meant to be going down to my toes?
No. Like Kyle, like what it's saying is like if you get that cut, that they might have to like crimp the one here and then go into my arm and pull the other one out, and then sew them together, and then once they're sewed together, remove the clamp and let the blood go through again.
So that kind of microsurgery would have been way out of the skills of someone.
Yeah, it's my understanding that people who do that vascular surgery are the top of the heap in terms of dexterity.
Well, Jesus Christ, you're fucked. You're fucked in those days if you get hurt. You see him all the time getting just blasted with his musket, like the hero. Like Mel Gibson will take 2 or 3 and he's like, put some gunpowder in it.
There's stuff like that in the Nick where you watch, like if that pet peeves you, Kyle, like watching incorrect medical stuff happening, then this show will infuriate you, because so much of it is doctors being like, the only way we're gonna fix the fucking cholera is if we inject large amounts of mercury directly into the heart. And people will be like, it's worked on 4 people in East Asia, we have to give it a shot. And they're like, all right, here goes. And some guys on the table like, oh, maybe I'm the guy, and it's like, oh fuck,
dude. We were talking about sewing veins back together. I have real life experience with this. It's not a vein but a tendon. Colin chopped the tendon on his foot. This is like 2 years ago, and we take him to the emergency room, and the doctor puts a clamp on the tendon just so that he's like, he wants to be 100% sure that that's indeed what's cut. And then he takes the clamp and he's like, look, this is where his toe is cut. I can make his toe go woo, woo, woo. And he's working Colin's toes like a marionette. As the different toes are like squeezing and moving and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that one and that one are going to need some fixing, aren't they? Shit. And he fixed them. Now I forget about it. And every so often I see him barefoot and it's like, oh, right. You've got like a legit axe wound on the top of your foot. Like it's a 4-inch long hardcore scar. It's otherwise fine. It's not like it's not foot shaped or anything. He just has a scar.
Cool scar.
Even in the next day, they would have given it maybe a minute before they were like, well, the last guy who came in got a half quart of mercury injected into his stomach and it did not pan out. And so you're just going to be 8-toed Colin. How's that sound?
I'm like, what is life like if this doesn't work out right? And he's like, mostly okay, since he's got the big toe for balance. But when he puts a shoe on, his toes might like curl in ways they're not supposed to, because
they can get jammed down at the bottom because you can't keep them straight.
Yeah, I was like,
it's like running and stuff can be hard.
I can do that with mine, but mine are weird. I can like curl my toes and make a fist in my shoe.
I can do that.
Yeah,
unless
but that's because you've got
somehow.
Who knows?
Your toes are weird. I will give you that, but I think that aspect of them is normal.
I think I make a better toe fist than perhaps you can, but that's just through practice.
Yeah, Kyle makes a pretty good toe. That's a pretty solid toe fist.
Yeah. If I punched you with that, you'd know it.
I bet Quentin Tarantino, if he were gay, he would love you.
All over me. I'd be in all of those fucking movies. Yeah, I guarantee it.
I'd just shoehorn you into From Dawn Till Dusk.
I'd be in Bigfoot 1, 2, 3, 4. Like he'd make a whole fucking series. It'd be a trilogy about. Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder how Kyle's feet like rank. Like I feel like a foot fetish is a kink, right? But then there's like the kinky foot fetishes who like the flexible feet, the long-toed feet, the hairy toes. That's
I definitely see. Yeah, there's people who like everything, right? Everything gets fetishized eventually. There are guys who I see all the time, not all the time, but I have seen. The people who want when someone's had a hand or a leg amputated, they want the stump inserted into them. There's this crazy porno I saw, and it's kind of like vintage. And it looks like it's kind of grainy. But this woman comes into the room, and there's a man lying in bed naked, and she's very pretty. And then she reveals that one of her legs isn't real. She fucking pops off her leg, and she hops on over there, and he's delighted when he sees this. And it's not too long.
Oh, no escape. Yeah.
You're going nowhere. She breaks out a bit of lard, and she begins lubricating her stump. And it's not long before she is knee deep in the man's asshole.
You just said 5 minutes ago you didn't want to watch past 10 minutes of John Adams because of a fake medical scene, and now you're describing in great detail a woman lubing up her ruined leg and fucking a man in the ass with it. A very gleeful man.
And I don't think my butt could accommodate a stump.
Well, this wasn't this gentleman's first time in this club.
Start with the stump, but I mean, you
have to work your way up.
Yeah, it's gradual progression.
I mean, maybe I'm not setting my sights high enough. I'm not sure I could ever get past the bad dragon phase in any of this.
If we're talking about shows that you were looking for, I meant to say this earlier, Kyle. I started one recently called The Path. It's got Aaron Paul in it. It's on Hulu. Aaron Paul's the guy from Jesse from Breaking Bad. Yeah. And it's about a cult. And I find like stuff about cults really interesting. Like it's
Master.
I have. The Master's a very interesting movie. But it's kind of that same vein, like a creepy cultish movement of people who like believe a bunch of wacko nonsense, where at first you think, hey, these people kind of just seem like they're living their life almost like the Amish, just kind of being weird in their own especially weird way, and then you get more and more it protracts itself out and you realize, nope, it's a cult. It's definitely a cult. But that stuff's interesting as shit. I was looking up real cults last night trying to find which ones are like still present in the US, and we can talk more about all that on PK because I want to find more shit about cults. If that is interesting to you guys at all, I think it's super interesting.
Did you guys see the end of Better Call Saul?
No.
You guys aren't watching Better Call Saul?
We absolutely are. I just haven't seen the
I haven't seen the last episode. No spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want to hear anything about that.
So I won't spoil anything. But here's what I'm going to say. Sometimes I think to myself, what can I say that wouldn't be a spoiler? You know what? Let's not play with fire. Let's not.
Not much.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Let's not play with fire. Should I say
intuitive.
I enjoyed it or didn't enjoy it or got it? You know what? Any of those things could be giveaways. So let's wait and discuss it after you've seen it. That is a surefire way not to spoil it for you.
Yes, because I will probably end up watching that later on tonight.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it later tonight.
So the Fargo last one's not out yet.
I can't wait for that.
That's tomorrow, I think.
I watched Veep and Silicon Valley, but I feel like they weren't they each have one more episode.
No, Silicon Valley is the porn spin.
I was gonna say I would much rather watch Silicon Valley.
Yeah, now because Silicon Valley's
because like
it's like
chips
transistors and computer chips. Silicone is breast implants.
I did not even realize they were different materials.
Yep. Yeah, think of how many transistors we'd be just wasting in women's breasts.
Your computer would be all gooey.
Yeah, they'd be bags of sand.
This is baffling me. Are you positive they're different materials?
I'm positive.
They're spelled completely different. Well, there's an E on one and on the other.
Yeah,
silicon and silicone.
SIL. SILICONE.
No, E on
the end. One does
through my whole life. I knew that there were two pronunciations, but I thought it was kind of tomato.
But like you've never worked in an industry where anybody said like silicon or.
Yeah, it's not like you've ever worked in the computer industry or anything but technology or
even more so, if he did work in it, I'm sure he was a low-level guy. He probably didn't progress to like a super high-level guy in the most valuable company in the world at the time.
I mean, I wonder who one of the leading manufacturers of silicon-based products were around that time. Probably Cisco.
I wonder how many times I've embarrassed myself in meetings and such. Like, yeah,
they're all like,
I think I say silicone or silicon. I don't even know which one I would have said. Like, it could very well be that I presented in front of hundreds of people talking about boobs and not knowing
God damn.
Did they ever do that in like boardrooms where they're like there was a meeting that you didn't have anything to do with, but they'd be like, Woody, could you come in real quick? We just need you to explain to the we need you to explain to the new prospective marketing team how how computer chips work? Like, and then you go in there and you go, well,
I don't know why me, but all right, here we.
Heaping pile of silicone. You know, you can harvest it from anywhere.
Yeah,
Insert it
Silicon
through the
Valley
nipple.
was definitely a porno.
But yeah,
Well,
Silicon Valley
I'm
really
watching
dropped
those.
off. From,
You know what? Like all winter long, I was kind of disappointed that there were no shows to watch, and then it turns out like the 10 weeks around May, all the good stuff exists, and soon we'll be in July, which has Game of Thrones.
Yep.
yep.
I have never watched Silicon Valley, but I have watched clips on YouTube of the Asian character, like June something or another, whatever his name is, and I find those fucking hilarious. He's like, I really like the he's got this TV interview he does. He's like, oh yes, he very stupid man. He bad investor, and now he a poor. Now I am very rich. He's like, I give it away because I'm very rich. Yes, I
Dude,
very rich.
Every character in Silicon Valley is oh my god, I'm so retarded. I apologize. Every character in Silicon Valley is awesome to watch. So you've probably seen the one where is his name T.J. Miller like threatens those kids to get Adderall. Do you know this? Oh.
Yep. Yeah.
There's a programmer. The programmer is being ineffective because he doesn't have his Adderall. So T.J. Miller's character, who's like a tough guy, goes outside and shakes down like 11-year-olds for their Adderall. They're on their bicycles, and
That's
he's
pretty
like,
good.
"Listen, motherfucker!" It's great.
So far, everything I've seen is around that Asian character, that Chinese character. Right? He comes up with this new app idea, and they have the big meeting, and all the investors are sitting there, and he's like, "My idea: 8 different ways to prepare octopus." And the guy's like, "What?" They're like, "Do you mean it's like an app where like you take a picture of the food and it tells you what it is?" And the white guy's like, "Yes, that's exactly what it is." Like, no, octopus recipes. Like, ah. And I'm gonna speak to him in Chinese now. Hang on. He goes, "On pon cow, he to ho." And he goes, "That is not Chinese." Like, he's such a stickler for the pronunciation. He's got to completely railroad him out of this meeting because he's got all these people in there for his mother's 8 best octopus recipes for an app.
Dude, I'm gonna spoil it a little bit, but the way that storyline goes is, of course, he convinces him to change the app Seafood to be about seeing food. It's gonna be like Pandora, but the only thing it's good at is recognizing whether something is or isn't a hot dog, right? So it's a binary outcome, whether it's a hot dog or not a hot dog. T.J. Miller at one point takes a picture of his dick. It registers as a hot dog. They make like hundreds of millions off of it because Snapchat has a dick pic problem. And with this technology, they can identify whether or not something is a dick. And, and that's where he gets all his... I don't the writers on it are very funny. TJ Miller's it's his last season.
He's done.
He's off the show.
Yeah, if he's done, I'm done.
I don't care.
With that show.
I don't watch the show.
We'll see.
I watch
heard
Orange
that
is the New
his
Black.
comedy
Heard that's
specials
good.
sucked.
Yeah, I tried watching some of his comedy, like a stand-up on YouTube. This was a couple years ago, just trying to get a feel for him because I thought he was funny in the first couple seasons of the show, and it just I don't know, wasn't very good.
It seems
not
like what I was reading, I didn't see the latest special, was they felt like he did really well in the like context of a show. He's super funny. He kills his roles, etc. But to just go up and do stand-up solo, apparently not his cup of tea.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely different things.
I want him to do well. You know, like I like the guy, so I hope that his career doesn't end with this leaving Silicon Valley.
Yep.
Maybe if his career does go poorly, he'll end up on Silicon Valley.
Ooh.
Ooh. Well, that's at least 5 years away. We'll see.
PKN 149.
PKN 149.
Awesome.